In just 5 days, the United States government will shut down, and the White House is preparing for mass firings. Not layoffs, not a furlough, firings if the government shuts down. Just listen to this.
The White House now threatening mass firings of federal workers if the government shuts down, with funding set to lapse in less than a week and Congress deadlocked on a way forward. According to a memo obtained by NBC News, the White House's Office of Management and Budget is asking federal agencies to prepare for a, quote, reduction in force.
We've been getting word on this for the past several weeks that certain agencies are being told to prepare. Not just for the fact that we could see a government shutdown in 5 days. On October 1st, if the U.S. government doesn't come to some type of agreement with Congress, they don't pass a bill with the House and the Senate, then we will see a shutdown. This means local parks could be shut down. We could see national parks closed. We could see the post office see delays. Just in Canada alone, just so you know this, today it was announced that the Canadian Post has gone on strike. That is going to see massive delays. We could see the same thing here in the United States. This is a huge crisis. But let's keep listening.
Indicating it's prepared to go beyond traditional furloughing of non-essential personnel during a shutdown and instead fire federal employees.
I do want to point one thing out, that this could be a negotiation tactic from the Trump administration to other congressional Democrats, but Democrats aren't budging. So if this is a real threat, millions of people could be out of a job. That's a concern. Let's keep listening.
Top Democrats in Congress slamming the threat. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling it an attempt at intimidation. And House Democratic Leader Jeffries called OMB Director Ross Vogt a, quote, malignant political hack. Speaking in the Oval Office today, the president blamed Democrats for a potential shutdown, calling their demands unreasonable.
Okay, so he says they are being unreasonable. Now, we're going to find out in the next handful of days, but I want to read a few things to you. Look at this right here. It says, although Republicans control Capitol Hill and the White House, they need at least 7 Democrats in the Senate to join them to pass a spending package under the chamber rules. Yes, they do have to have 60 votes. They can't go around that. It says President Donald Trump does not appear interested in working out a compromise. He canceled a meeting this week with Democratic leaders and said Thursday that their demands were totally unreasonable. Now, I do want to read a couple things to you. Look at this right here. It says, if the impasse is not resolved, the coming government shutdown could be unlike any other in recent memory. While no two shutdowns are exactly the same, Trump and the White House Office of Management and Budget have already signaled that they are willing to use a totally different playbook, urging agencies to downsize workers and programs whose funding has lapsed and which don't align with Trump's priorities. This is something that we've seen before. If a president really wants to get his priorities, his agenda done and accomplished, they can use the government funding bill to do so and put more pressure on the other party. That's essentially what the Trump administration is doing. They want to get rid of, tens of thousands of government workers. This is why we're going to see some issues. And I don't know if what we heard yesterday with the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, with him calling in hundreds of generals and admirals from around the world to Virginia this coming week. We don't know if that has anything to do with the government shutdown, which is going to happen potentially on Tuesday. Okay, that will be the final day. That's September 30th. So we don't know if those things are somewhat related, but the concern is that if the United States does go through a shutdown, we do see some mass firings, not just layoffs or furloughs, firings. We could actually have some other, it could create some other implications in the future. So again, we're going to see and figure all this out together. I do want to read you a couple other things though. It says right here, Lawmakers have yet to pass through both chambers any of the 12 appropriations bills that make up the federal discretionary spending budget, so the coming shutdown would be considered a full shutdown. Complete. Okay, this is the concerning part. It says during prior impasses, Congress approved annual funding for certain agencies, which allowed them to continue operating while other federal departments went dark. The situation is known as a partial shutdown. And it says since 1980, there have been 14 government shutdowns, according to the Bipartisan Policy Center. Okay. Here's a big one. What programs and payments will stop? I said this before. You are going to see libraries close. You're going to see parks shut down, local and national. Okay? You're going to see delays for our mail service. There's going to be disruptions in things like SNAP benefits. You're going to see delays in processing when it comes to Social Security. For all those people that are currently getting Social Security benefits, you're good. You will still receive payments. But here's the other thing. Keep this in mind. At the end of this month, so at the end of September, which is 5 days away, we are going to see that for Social Security beneficiaries, you cannot receive a paper check. You actually have to be almost approved to get a paper check. That means you have to have everything done automatically. Okay, it all has to be going through a direct deposit, go through a debit card, one of the government credit card, whatever. Right? That has to be done prior to this, because if it's not processed before this, you may not get your benefits. I want to read this to you though. What programs and payments will stop? It says every government shutdown differs somewhat, but typically functions that are critical to the protection and lives of property are deemed essential and remain open. Agencies file what is known as contingency plans that detail what operations will continue and how many employees will remain on the job, many of them without pay. Honestly, it's every single one of them is working without getting paid. The only time they get paid is once the government funding bill goes through, then they get back pay. So that's it. It says right here, okay? However, it is in an unusual move. OMB this time is not posting agencies' shutdown contingency plans on its website. Instead, the plans are hosted only on each agency's site, making it harder to assess how the Trump administration will handle the shutdown and which activities it will deem essential. It says right here, in the most recent shutdown, students had trouble getting their tax documents from the IRS to get financial aid for the spring semester, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture warned that it could only guarantee to provide food stamp benefits through February. I don't know if food stamp benefits are going to go all the way to February. Okay, I just don't. I don't think it will. I believe food stamps are only going to last about a month to 2 months. That's it. So just keep that in mind. If you are currently receiving SNAP benefits, you may only get them for 1 to 2 months, and then they'll be shut off. But here's the thing. If our government shutdown only lasts a couple weeks, we will be okay. We will be a little bit delayed, a little bit behind, but we'll be okay. It says, notably, important benefit programs such as Social Security and Medicare will continue. Also, key services including law enforcement and border patrol are typically deemed essential and aren't affected. It says right here, some government functions can continue at least for a certain period of time if they are funded through fees and other types of appropriations. Will national parks stay open? It says right here, the impact of shutdowns on the 400 plus national park sites has differed greatly in recent shutdowns. In 2013, an estimated 8 million recreation visits and $414 million were lost during the 16-day shutdown, according to the National Parks Conservation Association. Yeah, they will be shut down. Okay, some of them, and again, I just want to keep this out there. Some of them aren't shut down. It's a national park, but they're not really monitored, they're not managed over that time, but there's no way to actually close them, so people can still get through. But as far as the ones that have like gates, have some type of barricade, and you can't get past them in a vehicle, some people were still going to them on foot, but you couldn't actually drive in. So that's kind of where we're at this time. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, well, what's happening? How many people are going to be fired? That, honestly, we don't know. All we know right now is Democrats are digging in on the shutdown and pretty much calling President Trump's bluff. I don't know if this is going to be a good move, a bad move, but we're going to find out together in the next handful of days. So, just want to thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.